My name is Ellen, and I'm 18 years old. I came to this unfamiliar city with almost nothing, searching for any work that would help me survive, with no experience and barely enough money to last a few days. I was desperate when I knocked on the door of the Winfield household one quiet morning. A kind servant named Gracie answered. She saw something in my face that moved her, and she invited me inside. She led me through the elegant halls to meet Thomas Roxton, the butler. The moment his gaze landed on me, I felt deeply uncomfortable. His eyes traveled over me slowly, lingering in a way that made my stomach turn. When I admitted I had no experience, he simply smiled and said it didn't matter. He offered me a trial period, but then listed his conditions. I would answer only to him, and I would give him a portion of my wages. Standing there under his scrutiny, every instinct told me to run. I confided in Gracie that I wanted to leave, but she gently urged me to stay. She explained that despite everything, this position was better than most I would find elsewhere. So I stayed, pushing down my fear. Meeting Mrs. Winfield changed everything. She was warm and gracious, asking thoughtful questions and actually listening to my answers. When she offered to make me her personal maid, relief washed over me. Perhaps this wouldn't be so terrible after all. The first month passed quietly enough, but then Roxton summoned me one evening and ordered me to clean his private room. No other servant was ever asked to do this. As I worked, he stood far too close, his presence oppressive. I could feel his eyes following my every movement. My hands trembled as I tried to finish quickly. After that night, I did everything possible to avoid him. But when the Winfields hosted a grand party, Mrs. Winfield asked me to collect her gown from the tailor. While waiting, a young man approached me. He was handsome and charming, with an easy smile that made me forget myself for a moment. He took my hand and asked me to dance. Caught up in the music and his attention, I let him lead me across the floor. He called me beautiful and made me laugh freely. But reality returned quickly. I told him the truth about who I was, a servant in the Winfield house, and walked away before he could respond. Later, the first discovered his name was Richard, Mrs. Winfield's own son. After that evening, something shifted between us. Our eyes would meet across crowded rooms. He would find reasons to pass by where I was working, offering quiet smiles that made my heart race. When the family travelled to their villa near Milan, I accompanied them. The house overlooked calm waters, and the atmosphere felt different there, lighter somehow. Richard sought me out during those long summer days. We would talk in hushed voices when no one was watching. Sometimes we simply sat together in silence, the air thick with things we couldn't say aloud. One warm evening by the lake, Richard told me he loved me. He insisted he didn't care about our different positions in society and asked me to marry him. My heart nearly broke. I thought of his mother's kindness and trust. I told him it would be wrong, that we couldn't possibly make it work. But feelings don't fade just because they're inconvenient. We continued meeting in hidden corners, our conversations growing more intense. Then, one morning, far from the main house where no one could see us, we made a life-changing decision. We married in secret, with only strangers as witnesses. Afterwards, we returned to our separate roles as though nothing had changed. He remained the wealthy young heir, and I continued as his mother's maid. No one suspected anything, but I carried the heavy weight of our secret everywhere I went. Richard seemed confident and certain, while I felt increasingly trapped. When we returned home, Thomas Roxton's attention became unbearable. He watched me constantly, standing too close, his eyes following me through every room. Then, one day he cornered me and revealed that he knew about Richard. His smile was cold, and knowing everything unraveled quickly after that. The truth came out when the Winfields discovered I was pregnant. They learned about our secret marriage, and the household erupted in chaos. Mrs. Winfield, who had been so kind to me, looked at me with pure betrayal in her eyes. She ordered me to leave immediately, and I had no choice but to obey. I didn't return to the city. Instead, I traveled to a distant village where old friends of my deceased parents took me in. No one there asked difficult questions. The months passed slowly in that quiet place. When my baby was finally born, I held that tiny life in my arms and felt both overwhelming love and deep sadness. At night, I thought about Richard constantly, wondering if I would ever see him again. I tried to convince myself that this was simply my life now, that I needed to accept it and move forward for my child's sake. Then, one ordinary morning, someone knocked on the door. My heart stopped. I stood frozen for a long moment before finally opening it. Richard stood on the doorstep. For several heartbeats, neither of us moved or spoke. Tears filled my eyes as every emotion I'd been holding back threatened to overwhelm me. I looked down at our baby sleeping peacefully in my arms, thinking about everything this child deserved, all the love and security I wanted to provide. Richard stepped forward and pulled both of us into his embrace. His voice was firm as he promised to protect us both, to fight for our family no matter who tried to stand in our way. I leaned against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. And for the first time since leaving the Winfield house, the fear that had gripped me finally began to loosen its hold. Whatever came next, we would face it together.